Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be talking about seasonal affective disorder, SAD. You sent over some really interesting research on this.
Yeah.
It seems like SAD is more than just, kind of the winter blues.
Right.
It could actually strike in the summer, too.
Mm-hmm.
Before we jump into your research, can you give us a rundown on what SAD actually is?
Yeah. SAD is a type of depression that's directly linked to the change of seasons. Unlike general depression, it follows a cyclical pattern, appearing and disappearing with the seasons.
Okay.
It's more common during the winter months, but summer onset SAD is a real phenomenon.
So we're talking about a recurring pattern tied to the seasons. What makes this happen? I know reduced sunlight is a factor, but your research mentions a study that found a link between SAD and a specific gene. What's the story there?
Right. Yeah, reduced sunlight is a major trigger,
Okay,
but it's only part of the puzzle.
gotcha.
Less sunlight disrupts our internal body clock, our circadian rhythm, which throws off the production of brain chemicals like serotonin and melatonin. Both vital for mood and sleep regulation. And you're right, there's a genetic component too. Research has shown that variations in a gene that regulates serotonin transport might make some individuals more susceptible to seasonal changes in mood.
So it's like inheriting a sensitivity to the shifting seasons.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
So we've got the sunlight, the brain chemicals, and even genetics playing a role. Now, in your notes, you highlighted a study linking SAD to disruptions in the sleep-wake cycle. I'm curious, how does reduced sunlight actually mess with our circadian rhythm on a biological level?
It's fascinating, actually. Our eyes have special light-sensitive cells that detect sunlight and send signals to the brain. These help regulate our wake cycle. When these cells don't get enough light, like during shorter winter days, our circadian rhythm gets thrown off.
Okay.
Think of it like a clock that's lost its timekeeper.
Okay.
And that's when the production of serotonin and melatonin gets disrupted, leading to those classic SAD symptoms.
That makes sense why we feel more sluggish and sleepy on gloomy days. It's our internal clock struggling to keep time without enough light.
And speaking of those symptoms, you mentioned winter SAD often presents with symptoms like low energy and oversleeping, almost like hibernation.
Yeah.
Is there an evolutionary link there?
There might be.
Interesting.
Some theories suggest that our ancestors, faced with scarce resources during winter, might have benefited from a period of reduced activity.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a theory, but it's an interesting perspective on why winter SAD can make us feel like withdrawing and conserving energy.
Yeah, that contrast in symptoms between winter and summer SAD is really striking.
Right.
Does that suggest different underlying mechanisms are at play?
You've hit on a key point.
Yeah.
While both types share that connection to seasonal change, the exact ways those changes impact our bodies and minds might differ.
Yeah.
With winter SAD, the decrease in light seems to be the dominant factor, leading to those symptoms of fatigue, oversleeping, and craving carbohydrates.
But with summer SAD, it's thought that the longer days and increased heat might be the culprits, potentially affecting our sleep patterns and causing agitation and irritability.
So while the trigger is seasonal change in both cases, our bodies react in different ways. You've provided a lot of great information on causes and symptoms. Now, if someone suspects they might have SAD, what should they be looking out for, and how is it actually diagnosed?
Yeah, so diagnosis is a multi-step process. First, it's important to recognize those recurring patterns linked to specific seasons.
Okay.
Are your moods consistently lower during the winter months? Do you experience specific symptoms that appear and disappear with the seasons?
Right.
If so, it's worth talking to your doctor. They will take a detailed history of your symptoms, considering factors like family history and any past mental health issues. And a physical exam can rule out other conditions that might mimic SAD, like thyroid problems.
So it's about recognizing patterns, getting a thorough medical evaluation, and potentially exploring family history as well. What happens after a diagnosis? What are the treatment options? I know some people are hesitant about medication. When is it actually necessary for treating SAD?
There is no one-size-fits-all cure for SAD, but there are effective treatments. And you're right, medication isn't always the first line of defense.
Okay.
It often depends on the severity of symptoms and how much they impact your daily life.
Yeah.
In some cases, your doctor might recommend light therapy. This involves using a special light box that mimics natural sunlight to help reset your internal clock and boost mood. It's a non-invasive approach that's been shown to be quite effective for many people, especially those with winter SAD.
I've heard that light therapy can be particularly helpful for regulating sleep. Is there an optimal time to use it?
Yes, timing is important. Using the light box first thing in the morning for about 20 to 30 minutes seems to be most beneficial for resetting the circadian rhythm and improving mood. It's like giving your internal clock a jump start for the day.
So we've got light therapy working on that biological level.
Yeah.
What about addressing the mental and emotional aspects of SAD?
Right. That's where psychotherapy, especially cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT, comes in.
Okay.
CBT helps identify and modify negative thought patterns and behaviors that contribute to SID. It's about equipping yourself with coping skills and strategies to manage those challenging thoughts and emotions.
Those healthy habits are great in theory, but how realistic are they for someone struggling with SAD's fatigue and lack of motivation? Feels like a bit of a catch-22.
Yeah, that's a valid point. It's important to remember that seeking help and making lifestyle changes takes effort, and that effort can be difficult when you're feeling drained and unmotivated. That's why working with a therapist can be so valuable. They can help you set realistic goals, break down those goals into smaller, manageable steps, and provide support and encouragement along the way.
It's about having a guide to help you navigate those challenges. In your research, you highlighted a study that explored the effectiveness of mindfulness-based therapies for SAD. Can you tell us more about that?
Mindfulness-based therapies, like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy or MBCT, have shown promise in helping people with SAD manage their symptoms.
Okay.
These therapies focus on developing awareness of the present moment, accepting thoughts and feelings without judgment, and learning to respond to challenges in a more skillful way. They help break those cycles of negative thinking and rumination that can fuel SAD.
Sounds like building resilience and self-compassion are key.
Yeah.
Now, aside from therapy and light therapy, what about medication? When might a doctor consider prescribing medication for SAD?
Medication like antidepressants might be considered if symptoms are severe, if other treatments haven't been effective, or if there are co-occurring mental health conditions.
Okay.
A type of antidepressant called SSRIs is commonly prescribed for SE, and there's also bupropion, specifically approved for preventing SAD episodes.
Yeah.
It's important to have an open and honest conversation with your doctor about the risks and benefits of medication to make an informed decision together.
It's a reminder that treatment is personalized, and it's about finding what works best for each individual. Now, I'm personally a big believer in the power of lifestyle changes. Is there anything people can do on their own to manage SAD symptoms alongside those other treatments?
Absolutely. Lifestyle changes can be incredibly empowering and play a significant role in managing SAD. Regular exercise is a fantastic mood booster, even if it's just a short walk outdoors. A balanced diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, can help stabilize energy levels and combat those cravings for sugary and processed foods that often accompany SAD.
Speaking of routine, you mentioned in your notes that maintaining a consistent sleep schedule is crucial for regulating our internal clock. Any tips for improving sleep hygiene, especially during the winter when it's tempting to stay curled up in bed all day?
That's a great point. Sticking to a regular sleep-wake cycle, even on weekends, is key for keeping your circadian rhythm in check. Try to get some sunlight exposure first thing in the morning, even if it's cloudy. It helps signal to your body that it's time to wake up. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. Avoid caffeine and alcohol before bed, and make sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool for optimal sleep.
That ties in nicely with another point you made about the importance of social connection, especially during those months when isolation can feel more intense.
Yeah, social connection is vital. It's easy to withdraw when you're feeling down, but reaching out to loved ones, even for a quick phone call or video chat, can make a world of difference. Joining a support group or engaging in activities you enjoy, even if it's from home, can help combat feelings of loneliness and isolation.
And I imagine stress management plays a crucial role too, given how stress can exacerbate SAD symptoms.
You're absolutely right. Incorporating stress-reducing techniques into your routine is essential. That might be mindfulness meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, journaling, spending time in nature, or listening to calming music. Find what works for you and make it a regular practice.
We've talked about light therapy, psychotherapy, medication, and those all-important lifestyle changes. It seems like there's a diverse toolkit available for managing SAD. Now, in your research, you mentioned that some studies are exploring the potential benefits of vitamin D supplementation for SAD. What's the latest on that?
That's an area of ongoing research, and it's certainly worth discussing with your doctor. Vitamin D deficiency is more common during winter, and because vitamin D plays a role in serotonin production, it's been theorized that supplementation might help alleviate some SAD symptoms. However, more research is needed to confirm its effectiveness as a standalone treatment.
So it's a potential tool in the toolkit, but not a magic bullet. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about societal awareness. Do you think we as a society do enough to acknowledge and support those dealing with SAD? I know you highlighted some articles that discuss the stigma surrounding mental health.
Yeah, that's a crucial conversation to have. While awareness of mental health is growing, SAD still tends to be downplayed or dismissed as just winter blues. This minimization can make it harder for people to seek help and can lead to feelings of isolation and shame. We need to create a culture where mental health, including SAD, is treated with the same seriousness as physical health.
It's about normalizing conversations about mental health and fostering empathy and understanding. What can we do both individually and as a society to better support those with SAD?
On an individual level, simply being informed about SAD can make a difference. You can be a source of support for friends or family members who might be struggling, offering a listening ear, and encouraging them to seek professional help if needed. And on a societal level, we need to advocate for better access to mental health services, promote accurate information about SAD, and challenge those dismissive attitudes that trivialize the condition.
We can also encourage workplaces and schools to be more accommodating. Flexible work hours, access to natural light, and mental health days can go a long way in supporting employees and students.
Absolutely. It's about creating environments where people feel comfortable talking about their mental health and asking for support without fear of judgment or repercussions.
It all comes back to creating a more inclusive and supportive culture around mental well-being. Now, before we wrap things up, you mentioned the term prognosis in your research. What does that mean in the context of SAD, and what does the research say about the long-term outlook?
Prognosis refers to the likely course or outcome of a condition. And the good news is the prognosis for SAD is generally very positive. With appropriate treatment and consistent management, most people with SAD can live fulfilling and healthy lives. It's important to remember that SAD is a treatable condition, and with the right tools and support, it doesn't have to define your life.
That's incredibly reassuring to hear. Even though those difficult seasons might return, it's not a life sentence.
Yeah.
And knowledge truly is power in this case, right?
Yeah.
The more you understand about SAD, the better equipped you are to advocate for yourself and seek the support you need.
Absolutely. It's about understanding that SAD is a part of your experience, but it doesn't have to control your life. With the right strategies and support, you can navigate those seasonal shifts and live a full and meaningful life.
And what's really empowering is how much control we have.
Yeah.
Yes, SAD is influenced by those external factors like sunlight and seasons, but we can actively make choices that support our mental well-being.
Precisely. It's not about passively waiting for the seasons to change, but taking ownership of our well-being. We can adjust our lifestyles, seek professional help, build strong support systems, and be mindful of how those seasonal shifts affect us.
We've essentially created a toolkit for ourselves during this deep dive.
Yeah.
It's filled with strategies and insights to manage SAD and thrive despite it.
I love that analogy. And we can continue to add to that toolkit as we learn and grow. The key is to stay proactive, stay informed, and never hesitate to reach out for help when you need it.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here today. We've explored the complexities of SAD, from causes and symptoms to treatments and coping strategies. And most importantly, we've highlighted the empowering message that SAD is a manageable condition, and with the right approach, it doesn't have to define your life. But before we sign off, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about societal awareness. You highlighted a particularly insightful article in your research that discussed the role of education in combating the stigma surrounding SAD. What were your key takeaways from that piece?
That article really resonated with me. It emphasized that education is our most powerful tool in breaking down those stigmas and fostering more understanding and supportive society. It highlighted the need for accurate information about SAD to be readily available not just in medical settings, but also in schools, workplaces, and communities.
It's about meeting people where they are and equipping them with the knowledge to recognize SAD, understand its impact, and know where to seek help.
Exactly. The article also stressed the importance of open conversations. When we share our experiences, we normalize mental health challenges and create spaces where others feel safe to do the same.
It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in creating a more supportive and inclusive environment. Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into seasonal affective disorder. But before we go, I want to leave our listener with one final thought to ponder. What steps can you take, even small ones, to advocate for mental health awareness and support either in your personal life or your community? It could be as simple as sharing a resource with a friend, starting a conversation about mental health, or advocating for mental health initiatives in your workplace. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to creating a more understanding and supportive world.
Beautifully said. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. There are resources available, people who care, and a community ready to support you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, empowering, and most importantly, hopeful.
Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
And remember, even when the seasons change, your strength and resilience shine through.